Welcome back to the Grow Your Nutrition Business podcast. At Healthy Steps Nutrition, we believe something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated. We help gym owners and coaches build successful nutrition programs without reinventing the wheel. I'm your host, Nicole Aucoin, registered dietitian and founder of Healthy Steps Nutrition, CrossFit HSN, and HSN Mentoring. I'm also the author of The Basics of Nutrition Coaching CrossFit Preferred Nutrition course. I'm going to teach you how to take one step at a time to build a successful nutrition program where you finally feel confident talking about nutrition to your members and your communities. Every entrepreneur deserves marketing solutions and business coaching to grow their company and increase their revenue. The problem is most gym owners and coaches have a passion for helping people, but they have no idea how to get people to buy their services. Today's podcast is brought to you by our friends at Lasso. I've known Sherman, one of the owners for Lasso, for about 5 years. When I think of sales training, he is the first person that comes to mind. We know that the number one way to grow a nutrition program in a gym is getting people bought in on nutrition on day one. Can you get existing members on board with your nutrition program? Yes, of course, but it takes time. New members are looking to you as the expert to create a path to help them achieve their goals. The best path to help people achieve health and weight loss goals is through nutrition and fitness. In this episode, Sherman and I dive into the consultative selling process and your free intro. Are you looking for a free intro form and a free training on your free intro? Click the link in the show notes and you'll get access to it immediately. We will get to this episode on nailing your free intro with Sherman right after this message. HSN Mentoring is a turnkey solution to save you time and not reinvent the wheel when it comes to building a nutrition program from scratch. HSN Mentoring starts with a training process that includes online modules, homework, and 6 mentoring calls. The training teaches you how to set up your nutrition program, how to market your nutrition program, how to coach clients using a habit-based approach, and most importantly, how to retain them. Lastly, we discuss how to run a nutrition challenge. But most importantly, after that challenge, what happens with your clients? We teach you how to convert those people to ongoing coaching after the challenge is over. The training includes 2 subscriptions for an owner and a coach. It's easy to get started. Just book a free call so you can learn more about how we can help you. From there, if it's a great fit, we'll give you access to sign up and you can get through the training and launch your program in as little as 4 to 6 weeks. All right, let's get to this episode on nailing your free intro. Sherman Merricks, welcome to the Grow Your Nutrition Business podcast. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back. Always a great time. I'm excited to chat with you today.
We have an awesome topic and such an important topic to talk about. And really it dives into the sales process and the free intro, such a common question that we get asked often from gym owners. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about yourself and your gym, because you have so many different roles. You're a gym owner, you're an athlete first.
Yeah. Now
you help other gyms with their marketing and sales. You have all the hats that you wear. Talk to me a little bit about your story.
Yeah. So I started, the gym, 8 or 9 years ago in Gainesville, Florida, in my garage, back when you could start a gym in a garage and it still be, end up being successful. So started with that and I sort of fell into love with CrossFit, sort of a typical fashion, right? A friend invited me over. I got my butt spanked. Then I figured out that there were ladies doing heavier weight than me and I'm too competitive for that. So I was just like, hey, I got to get good at this CrossFit thing. And then, doing it a couple of years and I figured out, I can open up a gym. And the barrier to entry was just so low. I was just like, a couple $1,000 or so. And I can do it out of my garage. It's sort of like a no brainer, like just give it a try. So got into it and then it started growing. And then obviously this entire time I'm still working out and figuring out. And that's when the games was really on a huge trajectory, and with me being an ex-college athlete, blah, blah, blah. I got into the competitive side of it, ended up going to regionals and competing and blah, 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 all of that. And this entire time I was still tuned into my gym, right? I'm still focused on growing it because I was the sole income earner. So like, yes, you can compete in all that. But like, one, I wasn't good enough to make money from CrossFit. Two, I knew, hey, you still got to make money because if not, your wife and kids don't eat. So there was that balance. And we just continued to grow. And, for a little while there, I was working with another mentoring company, helping gyms. And then we transitioned to creating our own thing, Lasso Framework, to help. It started off helping gyms mainly with their sales and marketing. And now, as you know, we become story brand certified guys. And now we're just stretched out. We're working with counseling and gyms and just everything. So it's really been phenomenal. It's been a great experience getting involved with the CrossFit brand, and just growing it to what it is today, as far as me personally.
Absolutely. And, a conversation that I've had with you many times is about the free intro and the sales process, right? Like you figured out how that needs to run within your own gym, taught your own people how to do it, and then taught many other gyms how to get comfortable with the uncomfortable conversation. I mean, we open gyms to help people. We want to help people see results, but we also know that money is the lifeline to our business and we need to make some revenue. So having that fine balance, talk to me about that process. Like, tell me, what do you think is the biggest mistake gym owners make in the sales process?
Okay. So like you're saying, the free intro is super important, right? Especially with the way CrossFit has grown. Back in the day when we did it, it was sort of like a underground fight club type thing, right? So when someone comes in, it's like you're going to do this workout, and if you don't die, you can join the gym, right? But now it's not like that anymore. Now it's like these people are coming in, they want to be in great shape, they want to lose weight, they want to feel better, maybe they have ongoing injuries. So the free intro is super important so we can get to know these clients, and basically we are the professionals, right? This is one of the mistakes I see a lot of gyms making. We're the professionals, so we tell them the best step forward. They don't tell us. So I would say a couple mistakes that I see happening quite often is people are not doing free intros. They're just letting people jump into the class, right? To me, like, I just can't even really imagine that, right? You have 45-year-old male, ex-college athlete, that was 25 years ago. And, they come in with a certain mindset, and I'm just using that because it's easy, but you can't just let them jump into a class, right? They don't know. They still remember that stuff, but they come in and go too hard, go too fast, maybe, tweak something, and they don't have a great experience. And that's going to hurt them and the business long term, right? So one of the biggest mistakes is just letting people walk in off the street and jump into a class, right? Like I'm anti walk in and jump into a class. Two, people that are doing the sales, they really project their budget onto the people sitting in front of them. And this is a major problem, right? Because unfortunately, I think a lot of gyms could be much more profitable. So they sort of think, well, I couldn't afford $300, $400, $500 a month. So there's no way this person can afford it. So it makes it very difficult when you project your feelings onto someone else, right? Because what if they come back with something that they're unsure about? Doesn't mean that they don't want to do it. It just means they're unsure. And if you're not confident, you're going to be, oh, well, it just sort of goes south, right? And here's the thing that I've seen over the years. I learned this early on in my gym ownership experience. If I don't really let them know the best option to move forward, I've done them a huge disservice, right? Because I've seen it happen to thousands of gyms. Someone comes in, right? You basically just sell them the cheapest option you have. They're like, oh, thank you, I'm ready to get going. And 3 months later, they're like, hey, Nicole, I really like you. Your gym is great, but I'm not getting the results I want. I'm going to stop for a while. I'm going to go to another gym because my friend Susie, she lost 10 pounds last month. And then you say, no, like, we have nutrition here. We have personal training, but it's already too late. As opposed to if you sit down with them in the beginning and say, hey, Sherman, listen, I think you should do 3 times a week personal training plus customized nutrition with our registered dietitian, Nicole. You're guaranteed, like, it's pretty much fail proof, man. So do that. Even if they say no, that's fine, but they know that there's another option. So if they come to you 2 months later for athlete check-in, you can be like, well, remember, I told you that, we had something better. You said, well, out of budget, which I get, but how about we try that for 60 days, 2 months? And if you don't get the results, maybe it is time to try another gym or try something else. But I want you to, so really telling people the best option for them, regardless of the price, is the way to go, because then they can't come to you and say, well, you told me, or when I came here, I told you I wanted to lose weight and you told me to do this. Because I've had it happen too often. Even for me, I was like, well, I didn't want to tell you it's $700. What if you didn't join? And so not telling people the exact thing to do because they're projecting their budget. And 3, this is going to be the last one for right now. People are not practicing their sales, right? Like sales is a skill. There's some natural born salesmen and saleswomen that just get it, right? I think I was one of those. However, I still practice all the time, right? Like I practice, like when I go to Best Buy, I just want to practice. So I'm going to play the sort of game, my wife hates it, right? Like she hates it. But I love it, right? Like it's just practicing and skills. And too often you have a athlete join your gym. They fall in love with the product. Nicole, I want to coach here. You're like, absolutely. They go get an L1. They're a great coach. They're crushing it. They're like, hey, I would love to do this full time. Like, well, I don't know. Like, let's start you off with doing some of the admin stuff. Next thing you know, they're doing intros. They've never had any type of sales experience. Now they're sitting in front of people that they genuinely want to help. But now these people say, well, I don't know about that, or no, I'm not doing that. Now they're getting that crappy feeling because no one's signing up and they don't know how to sell them on what they really need. And then it's just a nasty taste in their mouth. And that's why so many coaches and even owners say, I'm not big on sales. I don't like sales. So those are definitely the top 3 for sure.
I love that you talked about projecting. I remember talking to a gym owner and he was struggling building his nutrition program. And it came down to he was projecting how much the cost of was the nutrition program. And I'm like, well, what's your membership rate? He's like $225. I was like, would you pay $225 for a CrossFit membership? And he said, no. I'm like, okay, well then you're not selling to yourself. You're selling to the people that are in front of you. You're projecting. Like we need to work backwards here, and you need to get more confident having this conversation that you're guiding them to the best option. I really love the way that you kind of talked about all of that. The other piece of the puzzle that you mentioned, practice, role playing, making sure everyone's comfortable with the options that you provide. I want to talk a little bit about something because you have the majority of the people coming in your gym sign up for nutrition and fitness.
Yes.
So you're packaging it together. It's easy. You're guiding them to the option to get started with nutrition and fitness. And we know from working with hundreds of gym owners around the world, if you get people bought in on nutrition on day one, it is so much easier for you to build a nutrition program, for them to see amazing results, and for you to start getting more nutrition clients instead of trying to sell them on day 100 when they're not going to buy.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And I think, we've been with you guys. We've been with HSN pretty much from the beginning, I believe. It's been so long, I don't even know.
Years.
Yeah.
Definitely years.
So, what we figured out through trial and error, talking to you and all of that is that, hey, like it is, and even from a sales perspective, it is much easier to get them started again with exactly what they need, fitness and nutrition, so that really, one, they can get these great results. That's really the name of the game. If people are getting results, let's just say someone, like it's a straight, like I've had this happen hundreds of times. Someone comes in, I sit down with them, put them through an intro. I'm like, hey, what's your budget? They're like, well, I can't spend more than $300. There's no way. I'm just like, okay, it's fine. But obviously, nutrition and personal training is going to be more than $300 a month. And I show them that option. And I say, okay, so listen, how about we just try this for 3 months? And then, I know it's a stretch. And they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to give it a try because, you talked about it and I really want these results. So then they do it. So now they're already stretched. But then what happens 3 months later when they've lost 25 pounds? Do they come back to me and say, well, I want to jump down to the cheapest membership because I told you it was a stretch? No, now they're getting results. And now they're just like, hey, I'm going to figure out a way to make this work. Right. As opposed to that flip side, you have someone come in, they start in your gym, they start working out. You talk to them about nutrition. They're just not ready. They stick around for a year, like, man, I'm just not getting results. You're like, nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. They may do a challenge, have some success, but getting them to transition to ongoing nutrition, which everyone needs, it is very, very difficult for the best salesperson because they're sort of in that habit, right? I'm pretty sure you lost members. I've lost members who, just needed something more nutrition wise, but they weren't willing to pay us for it. So they end up leaving because they thought, they could get it cheaper or something better somewhere else. And to me, it's always, of course, it always stings a little bit. Don't care how big, how successful your gym gets. But a lot of times I see those people and they gain more weight, right? They haven't been consistent. So you're really doing people a disservice when you don't set them up for the absolute best option when they're in your gym.
And making it easy to get started with both. So I'm not having you sign up for our fitness only package and then a different package for nutrition. It's kind of bundled all together so that you get started with both on day one. If I were new coming into your gym, what is the option for me to get started? Do you have it set up like a 6-week or a 12-week program? What does it look like at your gym?
Yes, gotcha. Yeah, so 90% of the people that are going to start with us are going to start with a 90-day kickstart program. And the reason we chose the 90-day, one, the 6-week is played out. I dislike the 6-week. I think there are some other companies that have ruined that. So, but the 90 days, it basically gives them enough time to really see results, right? Like we say, it takes 90 days to build a habit, all that type of stuff. So for us, it's 90 days when they first come in, and we sort of have them commit to that. And it's a fairly easy transition to keep going because, like I said, when someone comes in, 90 days, they're consistent. We're staying on top of them, checking in. They've lost, 10, 20 pounds if that's their goal. They've been trying to lose these 20 pounds for the last 3 years. So they're not going to leave now that they've getting these amazing results. And now price is a non-issue for the most part. They're just like, hey, this is what it is. Yes, it's a little expensive, but it's working. So yeah, when they come to us, it's 90 days.
We do the same thing at our gym. We call it a 12-week transformation, but same idea, right?
Yeah, same thing. Yep.
One of the things that I like to look at when you're looking at the 12-week or 6-week or whatever you package together, you need some time to build that relationship with the client. And even with nutrition only packages, we do 12 weeks for people to get started. People are not going to see results overnight. We live in a microwave society. They expect those results overnight. And if you don't build a package where you have enough time, you're going to overwhelm people with too much information, try to have them change too much at one time, and then they're going to say, this doesn't work for me, and then they're going to quit your program anyway, right?
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And, with my staff, what we basically train on is, yes, they're going to be here for 90 days, but we're going to tell them, hey, like it's going to take you a little bit longer than you're thinking to get the results that you want. We're just starting you off with the 90-day. Like if you plan on only being here for 90 days, you're probably not going to reach your results. And we sort of under promise, but over deliver, right? Because again, they need to understand, like for us, we always say, okay, how long has it been since you've been consistently working out? They're like 3 years. All right, give us a year here doing what we tell you. And I guarantee we can make up those 3 years that you haven't done anything. And we sort of plant those seeds early on, because if I have someone come in and be like, I need to lose 25 pounds before, they have an event coming up. Like, hey, listen, we may be able to help you do that, but I don't know if we'll be able to. So I don't want you to sign up here thinking that guaranteed to lose, because I don't like guaranteeing weight loss and specific goals with these short time periods. And of course, we've all had people come in and do that, but I always tell them, no.
Absolutely. You mentioned something earlier. You became a story brand guide. Welcome to the guide family. It's such an awesome network of people. One of the things that I learned going through that certification was you have to talk about the problem, right? Like we need to talk about, if someone comes in and they say, I want to lose 20 pounds over the next 20 weeks or less than that, and then over the next month, I'm going to say, how many times have you lost that weight and then regained it? Like that's going to hit home with so many people, because that is a problem that they're dealing with. People try to lose weight and then they regain it back right away because they don't really change their lifestyle. And if you draw attention to that, I think it's a good way to position yourself as, hey, I can help you overcome this obstacle, this problem that you've been facing in the past, right?
Oh, I agree. Everything needs a little salt in it, right? It needs a little salt, to sort of get a load of burn. And this isn't being, I'm not talking about being manipulative or anything like that, but you need these people to know while they're sitting in front of you, hey, remember, like you've already lost 25 pounds one time, but look, now you've gained 35 back. So we're going to help you not do that. And this is how we do it. So when you lose this 35 pounds this time, we're going to show you how to keep this off long term. And that's going to be with you sticking with us, taking our advice, working hard, all of that stuff. But again, we know a lot of people, like they don't want to, you don't want to say, hey, like you need to stop binge eating, having a whatever, you can insert so much stuff. You need to like be honest with these people and tell them that, hey, it's going to take time. You've already tried this. You need us. We have a proven track record. And everything, like, everything always comes back to making these potential clients the heroes of the story in the end. But you have to show them how you're going to help them become that hero.
Absolutely. One of the other things you mentioned is, kind of laying the groundwork of short and long-term goals. And how you do that is you have to be able to test biometrics and show people like, here is some objective data. Here's the numbers. Here's what you can expect to lose. You and I both do the same thing with doing in-body tests in the free intro.
Correct.
It's such an eye-opening experience for so many people because they have no clue what their body fat is and they have no clue what it should be, right?
Yep.
So that gives you some objective data to help guide long-term goals. Hey, over the next year, expect to lose 10 to 12% body fat. Here's how we're going to help you do that if you do X, Y, and Z.
Correct. And I think Nicole or I, we don't work for InBody, but InBody should be paying us as many referrals as they get. So if you reach out to InBody, tell them Nicole and Sherman sent you, send us a gift. But seriously, that InBody, like you're saying, it's a huge eye opener because like you're saying, so many people, especially women, I'm not picking on you ladies, but like a woman, she'll come in and be like, I want to weigh 130 pounds. And I'm like, okay, like, where'd you get that number from? She's like, well, that's what I wore when I was that's how much I weighed when I was in ninth grade. I'm just like, like, okay, like, what does that have to do with anything? But the InBody sort of like, it sets us up and it sort of gives us the data that we need to help them be successful. Now, for me, I mean, I've had InBody for years now, but before I had an InBody, I basically would take measurements with the tape. I like to say a quote unquote expensive scale off of Amazon. Cost me about $75. That was expensive back then for me. And I would just take their measurements, put them on the scale, and I still you can keep that data. So if you can't afford an InBody, you don't have to have one. It just makes it a whole lot easier. But you should be taking some type of biometrics and keeping track of it so these clients can see progression, because there's a certain group of people that only care about the scale. So if you can't show them, okay, listen, your weight isn't dropping as fast as you like. However, you're getting leaner, you're dropping body fat, you're going to lose them, right? Like I've lost quite a few clients early on like that, right? I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, you're looking great, you're getting stronger, but they only care about that scale. Like, I've been working my butt off and I've only lost 4 pounds. And I'm just like, I didn't know what to say. Now you put them on the InBody and say, yes, you've lost 4 pounds, but look, you've gained X pounds of muscle. You've lost, 7% body fat. And then they're like, okay, like it is working.
I have a member that literally I saved her membership because of the InBody. She was so upset that her scale wasn't moving. And when we did body fat percentage, exactly what you had said, it went down, muscle went up, but she needed to see the printout from the InBody to see those numbers. And if you're talking about a nutrition program, doing measurements, like actually with a tape measure, doing body fat percentage, having multiple progress pictures, multiple different ways to find those bright spots, because we know success leads to motivation is an important piece of the puzzle.
Correct.
InBody has a home version that you can purchase on Amazon for $350. It doesn't have the printout, but it's going to give you some objective data and it's going to be consistent. I know one of the things that I get asked about the InBody on almost every free call with gym owners, and what I'm sure some gyms have done in the past, and I've been to gyms where this has happened, you do a challenge and you bring in like a dunk tank, or you have people go, you're in Gainesville, I went to University of Florida, you have them go to the college and go get a bod pod test, right? You need something in-house that's going to be consistent. You don't want to have a dunk tank to come to your gym just for a challenge and then switch to a handheld device after that, because it's not a consistent measure to track progress.
Yep.
So you need something in-house. That's really the one of the only expenses you have with a nutrition program to get it started, and a $2 tape measure. So, invest in a way to measure body fat percentage, because that's a really important piece of the puzzle to do during follow-up visits, but then also during free intros. Sherman, what would you say? I mean, we talked about the most common mistakes. What is one piece of helpful advice you can give to gym owners listening to this, besides signing up with Lasso and getting like the full-on training with you guys? What is one piece of advice that you can give to gym owners to help them become more confident with the sales process?
One. I'm going to give you two because I can't give you one. But I'm going to give you two, though. But they're sort of going to go hand in hand. Go hand in hand. One, make sure that your staff, whoever is on the quote unquote sales team, they're actually getting trained, right? They're getting practice. Like that is super critical. Like, with both ex-athletes, if you don't practice, if LeBron James didn't practice, it doesn't matter how talented he was up front. You got to practice. So your sales team need to be practicing, role playing, reading about sales, all of that type of stuff. So they have to be getting some type of training. Two, make sure that your offerings are super clear. And I don't know why I like the word super so much, but make sure your offerings are clear, because they're not clear. Again, and I say this sort of laughing now, because I remember when we first, years ago, when you first get into like Facebook marketing, we didn't know what we were doing really. Like I would have basically an ad up for a 6-week challenge, but I didn't have 6-week packages for personal training. So these people would come in off of a 6-week ad thinking they're signing up for something 6 weeks. And they'd be like, oh, I want to do personal training. And I would be like, oh, the price is $900, and they'll think it's $900 for the 6 weeks. But no, it was only $900 for the month. And when that confusion is, and like I've lost a lot of money doing that, because it's not their fault that I didn't know what I was doing. So it's like, hey, it's really 4 weeks, but I'm giving it to you for 6 because that's what I said. So you got to make sure these offerings are very clear and everyone on your team knows how to explain it, what exactly it entails, because if there's any type of confusion, there's no sale going. I like to say, if you confuse, you lose, right? So if you confuse this person, like you're going to lose them. Because think about it. If you're going to buy something, whatever it is, think of anyone listening, think about it. If you're going to buy something, you don't say, well, I'm not exactly sure what you're selling, but I like it, so just charge my debit card, whatever you want. Like you don't say that. So it has to be crystal clear. So training, and make sure that your offering is crystal clear.
And having a visual with the offering is super important. Like we do price sheets, and actually our layout of the price sheets came from you, because I saw yours and I was like, man, Sherman, those look good. I'm going to copy them and replicate them. And then we're going to turn it into a template. And every gym using our platform essentially uses kind of a similar template at this point. Yep. But you have to have it a visual for people so they can see like, what are the offerings? What are the tiers? What are the packages? And be able to clearly guide them to an option, and make sure what you're saying, like everyone who is doing the sales process is comfortable with it. One of the things that we tell gyms to do who are looking to add nutrition programs is have your coaches do a nutrition challenge. Have them be the first test clients of your nutrition program so that they can speak educatedly about it, and they can be your poster children, your success stories at the front of the class. If you're not comfortable about something, you're not going to talk about it. No. Right? No. So if you are not comfortable about the nutrition program, and this has happened so many times with us over the years, talking to gym owners when they're like, my nutrition program's not growing. I'm like, okay, who's doing the sales? Who's doing the free intros? Oh, Susie's doing the free intros. Okay, does Susie know anything about nutrition? No, she doesn't really know anything. Well, of course she's not selling nutrition because she doesn't feel comfortable talking about it. Yep. She's going to sell people on what they feel most comfortable with, not necessarily the best option to help clients achieve their goals, right?
No, I agree wholeheartedly. And you touched on something I think is super key. I figured out a while ago that having great price sheets make a world of a difference. You can sort of stumble during the free intro some. And when you show them, like they can hold something, like you can hand them a sheet and say, these are your 3 or 4 options. And you just sit back and shut your mouth. People are going to choose, like they're going to choose. So that's why, I find it funny when I see so many gyms that we work with over the years. I was Like, well, let me see your price sheet. I was like, oh, look, that's mine. I was like, oh, look at that. But I think it's so important because if you have on your price sheet, which I've seen, personal training, group classes, nutrition, boot camp, kettlebell, if you have all that on one price sheet, like now it's too much, right? Like they're like, I don't know. Like again, we're the professionals. They're coming to us for guidance. So we tell them, hey, Nicole, you need to do personal training at, 3 or 4 days a week with nutrition. Look at this, figure out which one of these works for you. Then you sit back, be quiet, and wait for them to make a decision. And I think, like you're saying, too many gyms don't do that because they start getting anxious, right? Their hands are sweating, hearts beating fast when they hand them a sheet with $700 price. So as soon as that person says, well, I don't know, they jump up, snatch the sheet out of their hand, hand them the cheapest sheet on and say, well, you can choose this. And they're like, that's more like it. But we know that long term, that isn't the best thing for that client. And that's unfortunate.
Absolutely. You touched on an important thing just now, that you have to sit back and be quiet. And that is so uncomfortable for so many people. I know Jason and I have had many conversations about, like, you love to talk. We get it. You are great, but you need to be quiet when we're doing these sales intros, because not even sales intros, just talking to people about what their goals are and how we can help them. Because they came in for a reason. They are ready to get started. You just need to guide them and then be quiet and let them make up the decision of which option is best for them. And I heard a trick at one point a few years ago, and someone had said, put a cup of water in front of you. And after you present the price sheets, if you feel like the instinct to talk right away, take a sip of water and shut the heck up. So now it's like forcing you to be quiet, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think now that is I'll be honest, that definitely is a muscle that takes time to build up, right? Because again, for the most part, I get it. I've been there. When you hand someone this price sheet for the first time, I remember when I first started charging personal training before people could get started. I remember the first time I handed that lady that sheet, Nicole, my heart was beating so fast. But when I handed it to her, I knew enough, like, shut up and wait. And then she was like, so I have to choose one of these? I'm like, yes, ma'am. And she was like, I really like this. Then I'm just like, oh, this is going to work. And now, like, it's a no thing for me. I'll sit there for 5 minutes. I don't care. Here you go. But that is a muscle, and you definitely have to get used to just sitting back. It's okay for your heart to beat fast, your hands to sweat. Still be quiet. Be quiet.
I think and this is not for this podcast, but one of the most important things that you talk to gym owners about is handling objections.
Oh, yeah.
And that piece of the puzzle is so important when it comes to being able to support your potential new clients and build your business, right? I think you guys should do some type of free training or something on handling objections, because I think every gym owner and salesperson needs some training on that for sure. I know that's something you guys talk about in Lasso. Any final thoughts? Thank you for coming on the podcast. I think this was a really, really great way to shed some light on how the free intro process should look, and what things gym owners and people that are doing free intros should be thinking about when they're doing them, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Any final thoughts here?
No, you guys crush the sales. If you need help, get help. Have fun. It's just a big game, right? Like, it's just a big game. No, someone coming in, like Nicole saying, they're looking for help. Make it a game. Have fun. Because at the end of the day, if they join, you're going to change their life. And it's a win-win for both of you. If they don't, you probably don't get the opportunity, and they probably leave and don't do anything. So have fun with this, help people. And that's all I have, Nicole.
I love it. Our hearts are always in the right place to help gym owners be successful and get comfortable. But really, gym owners, your heart's in the right place to help these people take control of their health. And you just have to bridge the gap between the problem that they're having and the solution that you can offer, and guide them to the best option. So, Sherman, thank you for all that you do. I'm excited to talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks for having me. It was a blast, as usual.
I hope you enjoyed that episode on nailing your free intro. Sherman is also a StoryBrand certified guide, as well as a Nutrition Made Simple business coach like myself. The way they talk about marketing really works. You have to figure out what your ideal client's problem is and be the guide. create a clear path for them for success. And we know the best way to help people achieve their wellness goals is through nutrition and fitness. If you are looking for more free help, Sherman has made his brand new sales training course for free to our listeners for the rest of the month of January. Click the link in the show notes and use the code HSN to access this free course. It's valued at $999. Did you enjoy this episode? Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss another episode. Until next week.